Hello, I'm MrTieDye. Welcome to my channel. So today we're going to do an ice cream cone. I had a request for this. Somebody's already thinking about their summer designs they want to put on t-shirts. So we're going to do an ice cream cone. So what I did is just made one of my templates here. Stencils. I do have a video on how I make stencils. I use the cutting board material from well, they're cutting boards, but they're from the dollar store, come in a pack of 2. I do have a video on making stencils. You can check that out if you like. We're going to get started here. What I'm starting on is a t-shirt that's been soaked in soda ash. It's been spun out, so it's just barely damp. And what we're going to do is draw this ice cream cone on here. Okay, so what we're going to do is fold the top part first, and I put a little bit of extra because who wants a wimpy ice cream cone? You want one that's going to hang over your scoop a little bit. So I made this a little extra big here, but I'll show you how we get around that corner and tie that off. So we're working on just the front of the t-shirt, so I'm going to pick this up, move the back of the t-shirt back. We'll probably put a spine on that here after a bit. But to start with, let's zoom in just a little bit. We're going to just accordion fold all the way around this here. So on these smaller runs like this here, I'll usually do a smaller accordion fold. The longer the run is, the taller I do the folds. And that just helps support things when you go to tie it off. If you have a really long run, well, longer than this, like when I do the guitar, I do a little bit taller. Because if you try to tie it, you might end up buckling that. But when you have these little short ones, the little smaller accordion folds work nicely with that. And also allows you to go around some of these tighter corners here when you have the smaller folds. And I'm coming up on one of my little folds here. So what I like to do is put the end of the run on the downward side, meaning down here at the bottom. So as I pick that up, I'm going to adjust the size of that pleat so that the end of this run is on the downward side, and then I can take this other thing and kind of fold it up at the weird angle it needs to be. So I just stick my finger under there and I just kind of fold that up until I have the 2 lines worked together. I use my other fingers to straighten it out. And now I've gone around that corner and it's tied right in line there. So now I can finish out the rest of these here. Sometimes you have to kind of bunch it up in weird ways, but that's fine. The main thing is just trying to keep that line as straight as possible on the top. Oh, and the other thing, since the next line we're going to tie is this one going down here, I'm going to adjust a couple of these pleats here. Sometimes I'll make some of them a little bit shorter, a little bit taller, just to accommodate, but basically what I want to do, let me finish this here, is have this pleated so that I can see my line there on the top. You guys can see that. This here is the line that I'm going to continue. So we're going to tie this off and then we're going to tie going down here. So it's nice to be able to have that line up on the top of the crease there. So if you have to do a short pleat or a little bit taller of a pleat, just in the 1 or 2 right before there, then that's the easiest way to adjust for that. Okay, so there's the ice cream part of my cone. So I'm going to put a little slip knot in this. Slide that over, and when I tighten this up, basically I want to have my tie line to be right above where I have this line that I'm going down for the cone. So this line here, so my tie line is going to be right above that spot right there. So I just kind of tighten it up and adjust it there. I'll wrap it around a couple times. And then I'll tie it off right there. And then I'm going to leave this string attached while I do the rest of my folding here. Okay, so now this first pleat can be a little bit difficult here. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll use my cuticle pusher and I usually use the smooth edge here. That's the one thing I like about these cuticle pushers, is it's got a nice smooth edge on it. And I'll kind of get that started so I can kind of open these pleats up a little bit and push that first fold down right there. And then just reach underneath and fold that pleat up. And that just kind of gets you started there. And then you can just pleat the rest of that out. And like I say, it kind of gets bunched up, but you just have to kind of work around the bunches and smooth out the fabric where you can. Okay, and now at this point here, like I said, I left this string attached, so now I can just wrap it straight down underneath there. And the first time I'll come up and wrap all the way around here, but now I'm going to go down in between the two. So just kind of open that without moving your pleats too much. And then I'm wrapping down underneath right there again. And now I'll go ahead and do that again. So I'm just wrapping in between the two, between the ice cream and the cone here. So I'm just kind of wrapping underneath, and you can wrap back up and around here just to give you more support again. And then wrap down underneath there. And now what I'm going to do is just kind of wrap down the cone a little bit just to tighten that up and to separate it from the ice cream. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the ice cream part of it. So there's the cone just kind of wrapped up. So that's how I got the ice cream on here and the cone on here, and they're separate there, so I have a little bit of space so I can dye them in their separate colors there without overlapping. So now I'm going to go ahead and tie a spine up the back. I do have a video for the spine, so you can check that out. I'll put a link in the description box down below. Basically, I'm just doing an accordion fold, and as I'm working here, I'm just trying to keep this edge over here flat. If you start going off where the edge starts coming out here, then you've gone up crooked, which isn't a bad thing. Sometimes I'll do a wavy spine up the back, or I'll do a triangle. So I'll start about here and I'll go up at an angle, and then I'll go back at an angle, and that puts a triangle on the back of the tee. So you can kind of play with the spine in lots of different ways, just kind of add a little bit extra color. So I think I'm going to dye the shirt in 2 shades of blue. I'll do the cone, of course, in the light tan, and I'm going to do a strawberry ice cream cone. So then I'll probably put those 2 colors in the spine of the back, just to give me a little bit of splash of color from the front back to the back again. So that's just a nice way to tie the shirt together, the front and the back. Kind of like a rug in that way, it just ties everything together. And the tag, I usually try to tuck it inside or tuck it into one of the folds. Sometimes you can kind of roll that up and just tuck it right into a fold to get it out of your way. Right there at the neckline, it's kind of bunchy anyways, so tucking this tag in there just gets it out of your way. There's the ice cream cone with the spine up the back. We'll get some gloves on and splash some dye on this thing. Okay, let's put some color on this. So to start with, we have the ice cream and the cone here. And this here is the little edge where the ice cream went around over here. So I'm going to outline with thick black dye. You don't have to. I like to outline. So if you need to make thick black dye, I will put a link to the video. I have 2 videos on the thick black dye where I've made it 2 different ways. So I'll put those in the description box down below. But you could also just go ahead and dye this with your regular colors. So I'm going to outline and make sure that I come down between the cone and the ice cream. And then down the cone here. I'm going to dye the rest of the shirt in shades of blue, so I'm going to outline with a light turquoise here. Now for the spine up the back here, I'm going to use the same colors I did for my ice cream cone. So I haven't put the dark fuchsia on yet, but I'm going to do that here in a little bit. I'm going to let that dye soak in a little bit, squeeze the excess out, and then I'm going to add some dark fuchsia. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and put that on here. Okay, let's flip this over. And what I'm doing here for the DNA, instead of rotating the whole thing, I put 2 colors on. I can swap those, and these 2 colors I can swap. I'm going to use a dry rag here, clean dry rag. And I like to soak some of that excess dye out of there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my ice cream cone and my ice cream, just so I don't have that spreading around too much on me. And now what I'm going to do to my strawberry ice cream here, I'm going to add just a few dark spots of fuchsia, because when you're having some ice cream, don't you like big chunks of fruit in there too? I do. So we'll put some happy little fruit in our ice cream cone here with this fuchsia. Alright, now the rest of the tea I'm just going to dye in a couple shades of blue here. So we're just going to go into fast forward mode. The ice cream cone with the spine up the back. We're going to let this batch for 48 hours, and I'll have the results for you here in just a couple seconds.